to episode 161 of the Whatnauts Review Show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, manga, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we discuss it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined, as always, by Kyle Springer.
Good morning and happy E3.
Oh, it is.
It sure is, yeah. E3 is happening right now. That's the big thing that's going on for me. So there's a lot of like video game announcements and stuff like that. And I'm super excited.
It's a good time.
It is. Melissa, I have to shout this out since I mentioned it. You were on our video game podcast Crossplay to help us do our E3 predictions. In which we used your highly extensive skills as a human magic 8-ball.
Yeah, as somebody who knows a passing amount about video games, pretty much zilch about contemporary video games. I mean, I'll hear the names of the big ones. I know there's a Breath of the Wild or like a Red Dead Redemption 2 or something, but mostly I just know like weird trivia and obscure novelties like Seaman
from the Dreamcast. Yeah. Good stuff. Melissa, how are you today? What's going on with you?
I'm good, Kyle. We talked to each other 12 hours ago, and I'm happy to report that I am the same.
No sudden changes?
No, I ate some eggs.
Good stuff. Melissa, what are we here to talk about this week?
Today we are talking about the Hulu original series Dimension 404. This is a 6-episode sci-fi comedy series, kind of like a Twilight Zone or a Black Mirror if Black Mirror was fun and not a bummer.
Yeah.
This premiered in 2017, and it was created by Will Campos, Desmond Dolly, and Daniel Johnson, and David Welch.
Indeed. This was a good one. This was a
fun
one.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through Hulu. Didn't really know what I wanted to pitch last week. And I'm like, what sci-fi do you have here? And I found the show that I'd never heard of.
Yeah, I think I had maybe seen it like scrolling by in something, but I never really paid attention to it. Yeah, that's the one we ended up picking. A good anthology series is always nice every now and then, and I think
I like them.
These sci-fi anthologies, especially since Black Mirror has been so popular, there's been a few of them that have popped up and stuff like this. But here's one that we hadn't heard of until this week. So there you go. Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I had a lot of fun. There's only 6 of them. They're about 40 minutes long. There was some that I enjoyed more so than the rest of them. But yeah, it was good. I also don't think this was super spectacular. It was just like, okay, cool little bite-sized,
interesting,
anthology series. It was fine. I didn't see much that was like, oh, this was bad or stuff like that. No. It was just like, okay, this is fine.
My mind wasn't blown, but it was an enjoyable time. It was cast. There were neat ideas in there, and I could tell it was maybe a lower budget production, but the budget was used very smartly. There were some neat effects in there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they have some good cast members and stuff. I was just like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's her. It's this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and the show has Mark Hamill as this mysterious narrator. You never see him. He isn't named. He just talks a bit at the beginning of every episode and does the intro.
There you go. Mark that
excellent
one off
choice.
on your bingo cards. Because we had that.
Put it on my bingo card. Oh, no.
The voice of Mark Hamill.
Oh, of course. Of course, this is where he would show up. Yeah, all the episodes are pretty different from each other. We have a variety of protagonists, a variety of sort of structures of the story. Like the first episode is like a lot of twists after each other, whereas like the sixth episode is like you get one pretty major twist early on, and it's just the ramifications of that one twist. But all of them are related to technology in some way. The first episode is about a dating app. The second episode is about a immersive theater experience, and then we have an episode about a childhood TV show that this girl remembers, and everybody else has forgotten it.
Travel
and she has to,
adventure, yeah.
Right, yeah. There's time travel in that one. We have an episode about the arcade game Polybius. What another big reason why I picked this show. I love Polybius.
Indeed.
We have an episode about surveillance technology, and then an episode about speedrun gaming, sort of.
Esports.
Yeah.
Energy drinks and post-apocalyptic adventures.
Lots of different stuff in the show.
Yeah. It in some ways it kind of feels like, I mean, I think last week when we pitched it, we said like a sci-fi grab bag. But yeah, it feels kind of like that in the sense that they were like, okay, we have esports, post-apocalyptic, and drugs. Okay, how do we make a story with that? So yeah, there's a good variety of stuff. I was pleasantly surprised with that it was not all like, okay, this one's a little similar to that. I see that they had that there's a certain theme. It's like, no, they just went like, this one went in that direction, that one went over here, this one did that, and it was a good variety of stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything that connects any of the stories together except that the logo for the cartoon show that episode 3 is about, I think the girl in episode 2 has like a patch of that on her jacket. Like she has this little like yellow logo that stood out to me. And then in the next episode, I'm like, oh, that's Time Rider's logo.
Yeah, I think there was a montage clip where it showed that scene where the young girl is watching the show. They just reused that footage in this like montage of what everyone in the world is doing at that moment.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah. Good stuff. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. I mean, since it's an anthology, it's hard to really do a synopsis. We did kind of mention the stuff that is in there. It is a grab bag. The one thing I will say is, if you are expecting this to be more along the lines of Twilight Zone or Black Mirror or stuff like that, it's its own take on this stuff. It's not Twilight Zone, it which can have a creepier side, but it is these things that really make you think. These ones, they don't necessarily go as deep into the stuff or make you think or make you ponder the ramifications as much. Yeah. And it's also not as dark and depressing as Black Mirror. This is more campy. It's more comedic. It's more just like, hey, let's just have some fun at this. Patton Oswalt is in this. Joe McHale is in this. They play some good stuff. And then I don't know his name, but the major from iZombie, the like one of the main guys besides Rahul Kohli, he's in this. He's in the first one, and then Moose
I've never seen a second
Breaking
Bad. See,
so
another thing I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go. Good stuff.
I think what you said is, I just want to reinforce what you said earlier. If you like anthology storytelling like this, but you have seen enough of stuff like Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, which seem to be, I've never seen Black Mirror. It intimidates me. but like it's real cautionary tales. It's like, we hold the mirror up to you. Man is the true monster. This is way less of that. So it's a stress-free anthology series experience.
Yeah. It's I don't know if I would say this is like fully family friendly. There might be a couple moments that would be scarier for younger kids and stuff like that, but it's primarily fine. I think there's a few cuss words I don't really remember. But yeah, I would say like young teens and up is probably good if you're with your family there. So it is like this family friendly version of that. But yeah, so good stuff. I guess that's about it for now. So let's take a quick break for housekeeping, and then we will be right back and get into spoilers and all that good stuff. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. We are back. Big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. So thank you to Sam for supporting us for so long. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you for keeping the mics on here at the Whatnauts. I already mentioned our E3 predictions. Go check those out and stuff. We also recorded our like part 1 coverage of E3. There's a lot to unpack in that, and more is coming. Let's see, what else did we do? We recorded the captain's log last night, and we ended the show with something real fun. So be on the lookout for that. That's also going to get broken out into its own thing as a thing of the Reactor Core exclusively on YouTube. So go check that stuff out. We tried the BTS McDonald's meal. So interesting stuff. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun indeed. Okay, let's get into spoilers. Here we are. Spoilers. Melissa. Oh, yeah. One more thing. What? Before we let's like rewind to get to pre-spoilers. Polybius is in this.
Yes.
I have to mention on our Patreon exclusive stuff, which we just recorded a new thing, which will be up by time this is out to the public. So you guys should go check that out. Gino from our podcast Crossplay joined Melissa and me. But we also previously did a thing where we talked about our video game conspiracy theories and cryptids and all sorts of that stuff. And Melissa,
urban legends and just sort of weird video game oddities. Yeah,
you brought Polybius to the table, and that was something I was not familiar with. So you introduced it to me on that, and then here it is in this show.
And we know that it's going to have an appearance in some upcoming episode of Loki, which was another reason it was great timing to watch this show now.
which we also have started our reactions to on the React course. So go check that stuff out as well.
There's at least 3 different feeds where you can go listen to me talk about Polybius.
Polybius all the time here. This is now a Polybius podcast. Just all day, every week. Good stuff. Okay, now we can get into spoilers and all of that stuff. Okay, let's just go down the list here. Let's start with that first one. This one is about a dating app, and it is about a guy who's on a date, and it's just not going well. He goes back to his apartment after she's just like, yeah, this isn't working out. You can leave. And he gets there, and he's talking to his roommate, and he's just like, I just want to meet a cute girl. Why can't I do this? This is so difficult. Life is so hard. And then his roommate is like, well, why don't you try online dating? And he's just like, well, I don't know. Which, believe me, I feel you on that. I hate online dating. It is the worst. But he apparently, the roommate the night before set up a profile for him while he was drunk. So he's like, look, there are like 200 and something women that like the same band as you within a 2-mile radius of this apartment. And he's like, really? Like, how do you know all of this info? He's like, it's right here, dude. You just have to, all of that stuff. So he finds the perfect match and goes on this date. Seems too good to be true. Melissa, what did you think of this one here?
I enjoyed this one. I think it starts with, it's eerie from the beginning. You can tell something's off because like every set they go to is just like so clean. And like his roommate's like the perfect sitcom wacky roommate. Like, hey man, do you want a beer? Oh no, I drank all your beer. And he's just living on a couch. Like it's so heightened. I'm like, there's something false about this reality, but I don't know exactly what it is yet. And the pitch for this show, let me see if I can read you what the text is. I can't find it on the immediate Google page, but it says something like, it's a world where the twist ending is just the beginning. I'm like, that's kind of a bold statement. But for the first episode, it is. He's going on dates with this woman. He loves her. Like 2 months in, he says, I love you. And she sort of shuts down like, I'm not ready for this right now. I'm getting ready to start my med school internship. Like, I can't handle this. I need you to leave. And then it turns out that guy, he is a creation. She's the one who's been on the dating app trying to find her perfect guy, and the app is making the perfect guy for her.
She immediately like unmatches him on the app, and the second she does that, these like military guys like bust in the door and kidnap the guy. And so you're thinking like, what is going on? And they take him to this like facility interrogation room thing, and it's still, you don't know exactly what's going on, but you find out very quickly that he is like a robot, or he is this like artificially grown human. He's not a robot, but he is this like artificial creation that was meant to be her perfect match, and that he's not real. And that's a great twist, but like you said, that happens like 17 minutes into the thing, which
very quickly.
If you stop it right there, would have been a great Twilight Zone thing. Just like, oh,
you're done.
Shit, like that's wild. Like that they make this, and this guy didn't even know. Like that is exactly the kind of thing that you would see in the Twilight Zone. But then they keep going, and there's more. There's so much more. And this is where I don't necessarily like. I don't think the more that came after this was bad. I also just don't think we needed it. Right? Like that's
Yeah.
an interesting enough story by itself. But yeah, they keep going where he then is put in a room with like 3 or 4 more clones of
Oh, yeah.
himself,
There's
as like
5 of them.
she had tried to go through different versions of him. Like she likes that look, but she doesn't like, okay, that guy's like too much of a jock. Like that guy's like too into his feelings and that, and so it's just like, can we like change it a little bit and do this? And he's like,
Right.
I'm just this creation. Like, I don't like this doesn't make sense. Like our date was perfect. Like this, and he immediately notices the difference, right? Like they're all like,
Yeah.
well, we're just creations. This is our life. Like this is what we do. We eat the slop that they give us, and we just
we eat our
sit here
tubby
and mope.
custard.
Yeah, tubby custard. Yeah, and they've just kind of resigned themselves to, well, that's it. That's life. She didn't like us. Oh well, move on. And he's just like, no, like it went really well. I don't understand what happened exactly here. And so he ends up like trying to start a coup in this facility. So it is this like prisoners take over the asylum thing there, and he tries to, so he ends up finding them like growing a new version of him.
He's version 5 and they're gonna make version 6. And he was able to see the like sort of exit interview comments that his girlfriend had given, like, oh, I like him, but like I need him less into indie rock and less clingy. And he's like, well, now that I know this, I can be that. Like now I know what she wants. So he sneaks out and like he
replaces
this, like, clone slug out of its tube and like hides it in his bed. And they're like, yeah, number 5, he's just so sad about what's happening. He's just lying in his bed under the covers and moaning. Yeah, good luck to number 6 going out there. It's like he snuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, he snuck out, and they immediately realize it's him. Like he almost makes it, but he doesn't make it, and they try and kidnap him again and stuff. But he does end up inciting this riot at this company, and all of the creations that got rejected. They escape and go out into the world. We don't really see much of them, but we pick back up with our main dude, number 5 here, Mambo number 5, and he's at a record store. He's picking up a record, and he ends up seeing the girl that he went on this date with and had a great time.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, maybe we should hang out again. And he's like, yeah, I'd like that. And that was kind of it. And I was like, okay, that's nice. I like that.
It was nice. It was sweet. I liked how brightly colored this episode was, just like the facilities they're in, and they're like matching outfits, and also the set of 5 identical guys with different personalities reminded me of that episode of Gravity Falls where Mabel's really into the pop band several times, and it's just a bunch of clones that don't know they're clones.
That or the one where he photocopies himself.
Right,
and
all
they all
dippers.
have different personalities. Yeah, it's good because let me look up his name. I need to know his name here. The guy that plays the main guy in this one, Robert Buckley. He's the one that's in iZombie, and you guys should go watch iZombie because the main character in that, played by Rose McIver, plays this zombie who works as a mortician, I guess. She works at a morgue, but she eats the brains of these dead people that got murdered and stuff like that. So she can, because she gets like psychic impressions of them, so she can like figure out like, oh, I saw this person. I don't know who it is, but they looked like this. And so they, you know, get a sketch and then they go find them and stuff like that. But she ends up taking on all of the personality traits of the people that she eats. So if it's like some big jock, then she gets to play this like, sup bro, like how are you, and stuff like that. And so here he is a character in that show who doesn't really get to do all the different personality stuff as much, getting to do that. So it was neat. It was like, oh hey, that was good, that was fun. And then the roommate is Moose from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, he's an actor I recognize. Like, I know him from doing voice work. Like, I've heard him in cartoons and stuff, and I've seen him.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about Breaking Bad except that he throws the pizza on the roof, so I can't help you. It's 6 seasons of that, I think. Vince Gilligan's finest work.
I don't remember if it's Badger or Moose, but his character in that show is like one of the local like meth heads.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
Career. Episode 2. It takes place entirely in a movie theater, which was joyous to see. I love to get to spend time in a movie theater when I've been away from it for so long. And it stars a perfectly cast Patton Oswalt as this cinephile, film buff, and like real film purist. And he has this like college age niece who's played by one of the girls from Modern Family. And like they're buddies. Like he's gotten her into a lot of the same movies. Like they like going to like the midnight movies and like cult classics and art house stuff like that. And it's their movie night, but she wants to go see like some teen franchise movie that you can tell is like a Hunger Games or a Divergent or a Mortal Instrument or something like that. It's like Chosen, the Final Saga, Part 1.
I took her to be more like high school age, but like senior in high school, maybe early college, because like she was at that age. Excuse me. It seemed like where she was really, really into like, well, I kind of need to figure out how to get in with the popular good girls and stuff by doing it's like so like I mean, yeah, that it happens at like to me that screams high school.
I think maybe I was just thinking that because I've already seen her play a teen for so long. I'm like, surely she must be college age by now. And like my college age was when those movies were coming out.
Yeah.
So we didn't have those in high school. It was just Harry Potter and Twilight.
She likes these times that she can spend with her uncle.
Yeah.
But she's also like, you know, sometimes I just want to hang out with my friends and meet cute boys and do stuff like that. And I like that's what she did, is she kind of played her uncle on this and was like, I'm actually meeting my friends here on this. And he's just like, you don't want to go see the cult classic at this other theater? You want this teeny bopper garbage that's like right here? And she's just like, I don't understand it. And it's in 3D. Like,
yeah, it's not just 3D, it's some new special immersive cinematic experience called Cinethrax.
Yeah.
And you need these special glasses for it, and the tickets are super expensive. And he brought these glasses that you put on that cancel out 3D elements so you can watch it like regular. And he gives her a pair of glasses like, if you want it too, there you go. You don't have to go in for this 3D nonsense.
Yeah. And so they sit down, they're getting all ready, and that's when they kind of find out, oh, she's there with her friends. He was talking to the cute boy that works here at the movie theater that they all like and stuff like that. And so Patton Oswalt has to go sit by himself in between people he doesn't really know, in like right
some
next
cosplayer,
to some guy, who's in full cosplay and is just super psyched just like, yes, I love this series, I love this movie, oh my god. He is the guy from Avatar: The Last Airbender with the cabbages, like my cabbages. Like that's his excitement thing. Not the cabbages gay guy, but the one who like is foaming at the mouth and yeah. And he's just being a curmudgeon.
I don't remember the context. Just remember a guy getting so excited he foams at the mouth about something in that show. What is it? Is it the pebble?
It's when the Avatar shows up to Kyoshi, I believe. When he shows up to the island of Kyoshi, I don't know. But Patton Oswalt
we'll
is
have to watch
just
the whole series again.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You know.
Whoops.
Patton Oswalt is just being a real curmudgeon this whole time, just being like, "Oh, this sucks."
Not in for it.
But yeah, so the movie starts and everyone is like enjoying it. They have their goggles on and they're all like, whoa, this is so real. Like, what's going on? And he's the only one who's not wearing them. And he has his, his 3D canceling glasses on. Yeah. And he starts seeing this weird thing. Like there's something behind the screen that's like poking out. And he's just like, this is weird. And then it rips out and it's this creature, this like worm-like creature. And he's the only one that sees it. No one else can see it. And so you immediately are like, oh, it's because they're all wearing the glasses and he's not. Yeah. But it's also a thing that you can't see it when you're not wearing glasses, period. It just so happens to be that because he has his special things, he can see this thing here. And yeah, he's starting to go crazy. He's like, there's something popping out of the screen. And they're all like, shut up, you dork. Of course there is. It's 3D. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But he ends up going to the like projectionist, or he gets dragged out of the theater because he's making such a ruckus. Meets the projectionists and stuff like that, who are like, let us just show you how it works. So maybe as someone who enjoys cinema so much, maybe we can show you the behind the scenes, which will then convince you to like give this a shot. And he very quickly learns that they are these like vampiric aliens from another dimension or something. And this cinemathrax thing is like their way of like converting humans to their hive mind and stuff like that. What did you think of this one?
I liked the premise. I liked that movie theaters got included in this tech-themed anthology series. I feel like I haven't seen movie theaters visited as a premise in such a context, so that was exciting. It was really well cast. I like that it was an uncle and niece bonding story.
Yeah,
I feel like you also could have made it like parents or like older sibling, younger sibling, but I liked that dynamic specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was
like
an
the fake
one.
movie that we keep cutting to.
Yeah.
They told me I had to choose. Exactly, but what if I choose to not choose?
It looks exactly like the stereotypical, like, is it Hunger Games? Is it Twilight? I don't know. Yeah. It looks kind of like both. But yeah, it was also interesting because he walks outside and the world has just like gone to crap.
Yeah.
Like in the like 30-minute span that this movie has started. And I have to give a shout out to Ashley Birch, who played one of the projectionists. She is a voice actor, a really well-known one in the video game industry.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And I've seen her a few times, and I saw her on screen. I was like, is that is that Ashley Birch? And I looked it up, and sure enough, yeah, it was. I was like, oh, she's played some of my favorite characters. Neat. So there you go. Yeah, and by the end of this one, yeah, they've all been converted to this hive mind that is Sinithrax. And he is the last and final person, at least in like the immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
We just assume they're all taken. But there's this, I don't know if touching is the right way to put it, but there was a moment at the start where he turns on the radio as they're going to the theater, and he plays this song that he knows his niece likes, and he's just like, Uncle, like, I like this song when I was in like 3rd grade, like, it's not my favorite anymore. And he's like, oh, but you loved this. And then when he is that final person, she starts singing that song. And it's like when you hear the lyrics of that song and really pay attention, it is this song about like, you're the last one left, like you just need to give in and we'll all be happy together and like we can do that. And it's just like, okay, that's a little strange and foreboding, but it is this like a realization for him that it's not like that is still his niece. Like, she's still in there. Like, it's still her. Like, hey, I still care about you. Like, this is still me. We're just now a part of this thing. And it, like, causes him to be like, I guess I'll join you guys in this weird alien hive mind thing.
I'll watch Divergent 3 for the rest of my life. Sure.
Yeah, right? So that was an interesting one. What I liked about that one is how campy it was. That was a good, fun one.
And one thing I like about the show is that there's no episodes are allowed to have a happy ending or a bad ending. Like, there's no like everything is like. Oh, there's such a variety in the stories in terms of content and in terms of what time they take place in, because we're going to talk about episode 4, and that takes place in 1984. But, like, I like that you could have a variety of tones at the end. Like, yeah, everything can turn out okay. The guy and the girl can go on another date, even if he isn't the final version that she designed within the dating app. But then you also have, then he just puts on the haunted 3D glasses and he watches Divergent 3 forever. Like, you get both. Depending on what you want out of an anthology series, both sides are here.
Both are good.
Yeah.
Number 3, the time travel.
Yeah.
Kronos, I believe, is
this
one here.
And it's this girl who's obsessed with this cartoon show that's like kind of Captain Planet style, but it's about like history and traveling through time, and it seems like it has some real science going along with it, as much as you can have real science in a show about time travel. She's obsessed with this cartoon called Time Rider and the Chrono Teens.
Yeah.
And it inspired her to start studying physics, but she's also so in love with the show that she just watches it all the time. Like, she's a real procrastinator. Her final paper's due in like 8 hours and she hasn't started it yet. And her friend comes over to show her, like, hey, I finished my final paper. Would you look it over? And she points out something that's wrong. And she's like, you should know that it's not this. It's this.
Yeah.
Remember that one episode of Time Rider? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, come on. We watch Time Rider. Here, I'll show you Time Rider. We'll watch this episode. I've got time. Don't worry. But like, she can't find it online. When she Googles it, it's like the show never existed. And she like calls her mom like, yeah. Whoa. And like, she calls her mom like, Mom, you remember that show I used to love when I was a little kid? And her mom doesn't know what she's talking about. And she looks on her shelf. Like, that's my shelf of Time Rider DVDs and memorabilia. And it's all gone. Yeah.
Yeah. All of her paraphernalia has just like disappeared. And she's like, I'm the only one that remembers. Like, something is happening to time.
Yeah.
It's messing it up.
Yeah. it's just like an interesting take on the Mandela effect. When I read the little description, I thought that's what the episode was going to be. And I like that it's that, but heightened in such a way where it's like, no, you had physical evidence of this thing and then it vanished. You had it. And then an hour later, it was gone.
To me, it screams more Back to the Future. Like something was changed
and
like it just erased the picture that is this one thing. Yeah, and you guys know me. I love a good time travel adventure. We're also currently watching the German Netflix show Dark, which is a time travel story that is really, really good. So I enjoyed this one a lot. And yeah, they end up meeting the real captain, whatever his name was.
Time Rider.
And they're like, yeah, he's like, I'm Captain Time Rider, and something is happening to history, and we need to fix it. And she's just like, I'm in. I know what's happening. Yeah. I'm all the way in. And they start doing this thing where they go back in time multiple times, and one version of themselves goes and does this thing and sets this thing up, while the next one goes over here and does this thing because they messed up over here, and then they need to do this and that, and it's this big thing where there's just multiple cycles.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. That one was a lot of fun, I thought, because there is that joke of like, well, I'll get my paper done. It's fine. Future me probably invented time travel and set it like in this drawer right here. And she looks and is like, all right, no, it's not there. Okay.
You're not that good at physics.
Yeah, not that good.
Yeah, that was a neat concept. I loved the cartoon whenever we saw the pieces of it. I love the design of everything. Time Rider's got such a... he's got this like Judge Dredd style helmet, but it's a sundial. And he's covered in X-Men pouches.
Yep.
Like to see him in animated form and to see him then come to life. Him and the sort of Skeletor villain Entropy. That was fun. And I like that then she wants to go to the animation studio, and she was the one who created time travel. Like they've got a plaque of her in the office, and everybody wants her signature. That's
kind of one of the twists in this is that not only is this not like is the cartoon that she loved not a cartoon or not just a cartoon, but it's a real thing. But then when she goes to visit the studio and she mentions her name, they're all like, oh shit, it's her. Like, what is going on? Can we get your autograph and stuff? And yeah, it turns out that she is the person that invented time
Mother
travel.
of time.
Yeah, and that this studio is like an operation to like hide what they actually do here, and they are the Chrono Teens or whoever, right? They are guarding time and stuff like that, and it's a neat one. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that one a lot. Beyond that, though, like it's weird to say, like I felt that one was a straightforward time travel story, even though there's like multiple loops on this thing, which is like, okay, this is just a time travel story. So yeah, they didn't really do much else with it besides that, but it was still good. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. And then episode 4, I think, was my favorite, and not just because it's the Polybius episode.
I think I have to agree.
But it's just tells a very insular, very emotionally resonant story. And I think all of these episodes have got pretty well illustrated main characters, like as much as you can get in like a 45-minute anthology series where that's all the time we've ever spent with these people and we're never going to see them again. They feel pretty real. Like the emotional stakes of all these episodes are well communicated and you feel for them. But yeah, I think episode 4 hit the most. It takes place in 1984, and it's this teenage boy who wants to be a games journalist, but like everything he tries to write and send into the magazine, they're like, Yeah, okay, well, the Centipede's a couple years old by now. Can you get us something more cutting edge, like something that's really worth publishing, that's going to really set us apart from everything else? And his local arcade gets Polybius, a game so new that nobody's ever heard of the thing. And he starts playing Polybius, and it messes with his head. It sort of destroys everything around him, and he's dealing with that, and he's dealing with being gay and being like the threat of being teased by other people at school if they find out. And he's got a crush on this peer who works at the arcade, but he doesn't know how to tell him. And like, there's this new girl in town who like wants to be his friend, and he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to let you into my life or not.
Yeah. This one, I agree, was probably my favorite. I think this is one of their best ones. This one stood out to me not because of the twist that they did or the sci-fi thing that they did with this, but because of the characters. I liked this one the most because of them. I was more so drawn into their story and like wanting to follow those characters rather than I was like, okay, what's the twist gonna be? As you mentioned, we find out that the main character who wants to be this video game journalist is gay, and he has a crush on the guy that works at the arcade, and it's just like he's still in the closet, hasn't told him, is dealing with being a nerd in high school and being beat up by all the jocks and stuff like that. And we get hints that the new girl that comes to town, there's something different about her too. She doesn't really specify what, but there is this moment where she kind of signals to him as like, hey, I know what you're going through or something because I'm different too. But we don't really know if that's because is she gay or is it just because she's a person of color that she's different?
Like I wasn't sure if that was it. Like I never got enough sense of like the rest of the town to determine if that was it or if there was something beyond that was a little bit more vague and amorphous that I just didn't get to like put my finger on.
And as far as that whole story goes, dealing with that character being gay, she ends up inspiring him to bite up the nerve to tell this guy, kind of. And they have a moment. He ends up trying to kiss him, and the guy's just like, "What are you doing?" Like, this is like, but is not angry. Like they at the end of the day, they don't really deal with it or the whole situation there, but they at least don't get into the like, ew, you're gross, or like, what the hell is wrong with you stuff. He's just like those aren't the signals I was sending. Maybe you misread those. And then something happens that they don't really get to talk much about it since then. But then they do have a brief moment where he does confess his love. He's just like, hey, I love you. But it also kind of works as this like platonic thing of just like, thanks, dude. Like I love you. And they just seem fine with it, and they move on. So it was nice that stuff was in there, but that is the thing that like drew me in to that story rather than all the stuff that's happening with Polybius.
Yeah, and these two guys, they are friends. Like, they're pals with each other.
Yeah.
And it is, Jess is the guy who works at the arcade, and Andrew is our protagonist who wants to be the journalist. And they're friends with each other. And when Andrew tries to kiss Jess, you can tell that it's respectful, you know, how Jess reacts, and more like, oh, I thought we were just friends. Like, I didn't know that's how you were feeling about me. You're right. There's no disgust or judgment in it or anything. Yeah, and then they hug a lot at the end. There's a big group hug between them and their friend Amy, this new girl who came to town. Yeah, it's very sweet, and you don't know, like that door wasn't completely closed to maybe that will be a romance in the future. Maybe that is something it could grow into, or maybe they do just stay really wonderful friends with each other. A friendship's also very valuable.
Indeed, yeah. So let's talk Polybius real quick. So Melissa, give me a refresher. What is the like real life Polybius stuff?
It is an urban legend. It's like 98% definitely not true.
Yeah.
But it's an urban legend that in this time, in this town, like a lot of the stuff in this episode was true to the Polybius legend. Like there was an arcade game that mysteriously showed up in some arcade in Beaverton, Oregon, outside of Portland, that it was called Polybius. It was by some company called Sinneslotion, which roughly translates to German as like since is deleted. And if you play the game, like you get really super entranced with it. And later you're left with nightmares and you feel paranoid. And there were boys in that time who like did suffer like heart attacks or strokes or something after extended video game periods, that there was this big hubbub about whether it was the video game's fault or just the fact that no, that boy had a pre-existing condition he didn't know about, or he played video games for 16 hours straight just standing up there drinking Coke. Like that's why. It's not the video game. If he did anything in that time, he also would have had a heart attack.
Yeah,
so like they add all this stuff in. Yeah, a lot of it's accurate. They add in this demon element, which is new. You know, the traditional storytelling of Polybius is that it's a government mind control plant, and they're secretly, black ops testing it out. But here it's
Ultra.
like,
yeah,
there is some of that, but also there's like a demon attached to it. Like a demon has possessed the game, and they find out that the woman who owns the arcade like was the person who like she used to be a video game programmer, and this idea just like came to her, like she had like a prophecy, like Polybius used her to build itself. And she's like, I know the game needs to feed, so I take it around from town to town. This is like the 12th little arcade or pizzeria or laundromat or something where I've brought it to.
Yeah, so to dive more into that, because this one, you mentioned there's this like demon thing that is attached to it. So in this story, they describe how Polybius was an angel, I think, or something that would inspire these artists, and creators. Yeah, and then decided to be like, hey, instead of having them paint God or Jesus or stuff like that, what if they paint me instead? And so that's what he does. He gets this one guy to paint him, and that makes God angry. And so God casts him out, and he becomes this devil or this demon. And so now he goes around looking for creators to kind of like control and inspire in his own way, and that's why it's looking for creators, and it has this need to feed on like souls and stuff like that. And so when this idea hit the woman that used to be this programmer, that's what happened. It was this it was this daemon that found her and was like, she's the one, we're making a video game, let's go, baby. And that's what they did. Polybius was born.
Yeah. Interesting new take on the story. I even if I hadn't known anything about Polybius, I still would have really enjoyed this episode.
For sure, indeed. Next one?
Yeah, episode 5, a Christmas episode.
Hey, good old Christmas time.
Even though I looked in, I think the show premiered in like April. I'm glad they still like included Christmas.
Maybe they were filming it around that time or something, or they wrote it around that time. Who knows?
Still valuable. Yeah, it's about this woman who's a army psychologist, and she's been out in service for like 18 months or something. She has a wife and a little girl at home who are like really excited to see her, miss her a lot, want her to come home for Christmas. It's like December 22nd. And just as she's leaving, this other soldier kind of gets in a like, oh, I'm also going to the shuttle for the transport to fly back home. Yeah, we'll take it together. And they start driving. And the woman's like, we need you for something. You need to come with me. You're not in trouble. We have something you need to do. And this psychologist is like, okay, fine. And like they put a bag over her head and they take her to this NSA office. And they're like, there's been this terrorist who's been going around bombing different places. We're trying to track him. He's sent out messages that seem like he's going to attack again soon. We've got this data analyst who's been tracking him. His performance hasn't been great. He's suffering. We need this guy to find this terrorist. Would you talk to him? And she's like, I want to go home, but sure, I'll give it a shot. And then it turns out that this data analyst is a supercomputer built into like a giant flesh machine. It's a huge wall of flesh. It's like a 20-foot high flesh cube with like an old computer blinking lights in it. And it's like, just hello, like, I am Bob.
What if we could make a human brain the size of a room?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they did. It is just this like amorphous human brain that they have named Bob. And he's just like, hi, I'm Bob. And she's just like, what? This is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, but then she's like, a soldier's a soldier. Like, I'll help him out however I can.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she's trying to figure out, like, what's wrong and why Bob needs therapy and stuff like that. And, yeah, it turns out that he is tracking everything. Like, he knows everything about everyone. And it's, you know, when he's taking surveillance footage, he doesn't just get the person that he's actually looking for. He gets everything. And he can follow them all home and figure out their stories. And he just, he sees so much suffering in the world, so much sadness and stuff, and it is affecting him to be like, is there really any hope? Like, I'm not truly making a difference. I can stop this one guy doing a terrorist attack, but at the end of the day, the person who was sitting next to him that had no idea you know, that they were sitting next to a terrorist and is gonna go home and is dealing with suicidal thoughts and depression and a divorce or who knows what. Like, I can't really save them if I focus on this thing or if I focus on that thing. And so she has to like help him and talk him through that, and it doesn't seem to be going too well. And at the end of the day, they're kind of just like, well, I think we just need to like shut him down since he is this big machine. Like, I think he's served his purpose, and experiment done.
Yeah, and like he manages to find the terrorist again. He'd lost him, but he finds the guy, but it's not soon enough. They can't track him quick enough, and he blows up an underground rail station in Chicago. Yeah.
So they're about to shut him down, and this is when something kind of clicks in the therapist's head of like, oh, this is what he needs. Like, he needs to do this one thing. I don't know how they orchestrate this in like half an hour, but they do. The idea is this guy just needs to be giving. Like, he needs to do something nice for someone. And if he can be Santa Claus for one night, like, he will be the cause of joy for so many people. And because of his capabilities to see all the surveillance and hack all these phones and stuff like that, he can see the entire world be happy for one night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a really touching moment. But again, I don't know how they set this up, but they just have this like fleet of drones go deliver packages to like all the houses in the entire world.
It's like they're connected to Amazon or something. Yeah, and Bob just like overwrites everything because Bob knows like every single piece of data in the world. It just like spends like $3 billion of government money to like fly Lego kits to like kids for Christmas.
Yeah, and it's a good fun moment, and it has this like touching, happy ending. But yeah, it is this like interesting. Just like look at artificial intelligence, if you can even really call it that, because I mean they're experimenting with all that stuff right now in our lifetime, and there's been some scary experiments and things that have gone wrong, and things of like we didn't teach you that language. You guys just made up your own language. That's not good. Shut down. Like that's not a good thing. And so to have this machine that can surveil all of these people and just figure out who they are, know every little bit of data about them, and put together these profiles, like what would that do to whether it's a robot or a human, because the whole idea is like this is a human brain that we just put more brain on, and it is now a brain the size of a room. It's like, what does this do to a human? Like, what does this connectedness necessarily do? Because it's kind of like social media in a sense of like, I'm following, I don't know, like 5,000 people, right? And I get to see all of the stuff that they post about and all that stuff. And sure, some of that might be fake, right? Of just like, oh, it's a great day in the studio, selfie. And then it's like, I'm not actually recording something that day, or like I rented the studio and I don't actually do anything, right? You know, but like it might be that, or it might be this like actual cry for help of just like, dude, today sucks. Like I don't know if I can take it. And it's just like this mix of stuff, and you see it and you get bombarded with that stuff, and sometimes you don't know what to do, sometimes you can't really do much. Sometimes it's just like I don't like, I just scroll past it and don't even think about it. Like, yeah, like what does that do?
Yeah, I liked that approach a lot, that this being, this consciousness with all the information in the world, you know, it doesn't become corrupt. He just becomes sad. Like he just becomes downtrodden. And like he comes to love all of these people and feel bad for them. And he's like, I have to do something. And he's so choked up with this need to do something that he sort of freezes, and like he psychologically like can't track the number one threat that he's been assigned to track. Yeah, I thought that was a very touching, and even though it's sad, like an ultimately positive portrayal of this sort of intelligence and surveillance, that like there's always going to be empathy. Empathy's always going to be there.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Not necessarily my favorite, but it was a good look at that stuff there.
I could see myself returning to this episode and like years from now, you know, like when you're having it's the holidays and you're just watching a bunch of TV holiday special episodes. I'd love to just throw this one in and completely take somebody by surprise, like not introduce them to it at all. Just like, now I'm going to show you a new Christmas episode. Click. Just,
there you go.
Just watch them encounter this 20-foot meat cube.
It's not a meat cute, it's a meat cube.
Meat cube. But truly, there is goodwill towards men, as the Christmas carols have heralded.
Exactly. Last but not least here, what was the name of this one here? This
one is called I don't remember the name of it.
Impulse is the name of it here, according to Wikipedia. So this one is kind of set in modern day times. There's an esports tournament, and we follow Val Hernandez, known as Speedrun, to the esports community. And it looks like she plays a game similar to like Apex Legends or Call of Duty-ish kind of thing there. And she's a very well-known player in that space. She kind of has a rival named Kilohertz. Some kind of douchebag seaman guy who's also really good at that stuff. And they're at this event. I think she ends up losing that first event, right?
She comes in second. And like she could have won the entire thing, but instead of going for like the just like killing the final bot in the game that would have won it, she's like, I'm going to go kill him, and then I'll win and I'll take him out. I'll show him that I'm as good as he is. But he plays too fast and she loses.
Yeah. And so as a result, this mysterious guy comes up and offers her a solution. And his name happens to be Kojima, which is kind of funny.
What's wild to me is that he hands her the business card. It says Kojima, and she doesn't know how to pronounce it.
That's the joke.
Which, like, I barely know anything about video games, but I know there's a very important video game man named Kojima. So do they hand the card to a gamer, and she's like, Kojima?
Yeah, I didn't like that joke. I thought that didn't play well at all. But it is one of those like eye rolling, like, okay, I get the joke. Like, his name is Kojima. I know that his name is Kojima. Yeah. Like, that is one of the things that non-gay gamers know. They know the name Kojima.
Yes.
Yes. And it is this like Kojima? What is this? So it's just like, oh my God. But he is the creator of this drink, this like he is the creator of this energy drink. That what it does is when you drink it, it slows down time. So you perceive all of this stuff in slow motion. Or I guess, it doesn't slow down time actually, but you perceive things like they are going in slow motion, which then gives you the edge to be like, to get these precise kills and stuff like that, which is then how we know, oh, this is how Kilohertz played so good, and this is why he's too fast is what they said. And so she ends up using this in the next tournament, but there's a catch to this drink here. When
he gives it to her the first time, like, hey, try this free sample on me, he only pours enough liquid to like fill the bottle cap. And she drinks that, and she's able to play this bullet hell game, like slow down and like weave between the bullets and win it for once.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, she's like, oh my God, why am I sitting over here? I was just sitting over there. And he's like, oh, that was an hour ago. Like, when you do this, you snap back. Like, your consciousness kind of gets stuck, like living so slowly in that moment while your body continues to do things. Like, you only lost an hour this time, but the more you drink, the more time you'll lose. And she drinks so much energy drink. And by so much, I mean like a cough syrup size bottle.
5-hour energy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like you drank 6 ounces. It's really not that much, but she drinks enough that she loses 12 years.
Yeah, and she wakes up and she has a kid and she's married.
She's 3 kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and the world is in some like post-apocalypse, like something has happened, and she is the like de facto sheriff of the town because her skills in the game were so good. Like she knows tactics and how to do all of the. She knows how to protect the town and stuff like that. But this post-apocalypse was started because of this drink, and if people snap back, they lose and have lost so much time. They don't really know how to conduct themselves correctly in the apocalypse, that they're kind of a burden, right? They don't know how to defeat the lizard people,
the death lizards.
Yeah, and all of this stuff. So they kind of expel them from the town to be like, we don't want you. You're dead. Wait, like you need to go learn to survive. And maybe if you survive, we'll take you back. But chances are you'll die. So have fun, right? And she's realizing this in the midst of snapping back, being like, I need to make it seem like I am not snapping back, but I also I don't know what's happening here, so I don't really know how to do that. What's going on? And yeah, it's her dealing with the repercussions of this. This is the one you said that at the start had that one twist, and then it's like 12 years later, and she's just like,
which is
happened?
Wild. Because I thought we would see like an escalating scenario, like she loses an hour, and then she loses a week, and then she loses 6 months, a couple years. To immediately go from an hour to 12 years was not what I was expecting at all. No.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's certainly a bold choice. Yeah.
For sure. And it turns out these death lizards is actually just like the rival nomadic clan led by Kilohertz.
Yeah, it's not alien. You think it's a monster. No, it's just like a Mad Max troop that's led by Kilohertz in a still wearing his like Esports jersey with the Twitch logo on it, but also he's got like a leather jacket with spikes and like a mask.
And she finally gets kicked out of her community when they like she volunteers this information that like I snapped back.
Leaks.
Like I don't know what's happening here. I'm gonna go and explore and figure out some things. And she leaves and ends up meeting the death lizards, and she like takes off her mask and is like, Kilohertz? Is that you? And he's like, speed run? Is that you? Like, what is going on here? And they have this confrontation, and they end up attacking the town, right? The death lizards end up attacking the town,
even though it's only like
to save them.
It's like 8 guys, but apparently they are so foreboding that the entire town lives in fear of them, and it's like they see like the dust trail of they're coming down the hill.
Squad 2, Delta formation, let's go over there. Squad
like
B.
we all have to go run and we have to go run and hide in the ravine. We can't fight off these 8 guys.
Yeah, who played Apex Legends 12 years ago.
And like and Val had like left the town voluntarily. She's like, I don't think I belong here. I don't deserve it here. Like, I need to figure stuff out. And she wanders off and she finds Kojima again, who's still living out there. Also, I love that every time you see him, he's eating. Like he meets her outside. He just has like
a burrito.
Gaming. Yeah, like he's just eating a giant bowl of ramen. Every time you see him, he's just stuffing his face, and like it peters out to where she meets him in this post-apocalyptic land, and he's like eating a cat food can. And he's like, I still have more impulse drink. And he's like, you can drink all of this now, and you will live out the rest of your days, just like slowly playing through a video game. Like, you'll never snap back because you'll take so much that
You'll
the snap
die
would be
before you
like
snap
60
back, yeah.
years. Yeah. You're not going to live that long. There's no place for you to go back to. And you don't know if she takes the bottle or not, but then you see that she has taken it. She's drank all of it just so that she can slow her mind down enough to fight off all of the death lizards.
I thought she didn't take it. Because I
No,
thought she
when you
threw
see
it.
her,
Because
she throws the empty bottle at him. The bottle's empty, presumably because she drank all of it, and then you see her eyes dilate, like her eyes do the thing.
Maybe I missed that.
So yeah, like she had chosen to drink it after all, but like to defend her family and her town.
See, I thought she rejected it and was like, no, screw this. No one should have this. And then like again voluntarily went back to be like, hey, I'm still like the tournament was like yesterday to me. So I still have all of my tactical knowledge and all of that stuff. So she just like went back to be like, look, all right, I know what's happening now. I can defend you. I have a family. I need a chance to figure this stuff out. But I guess that's not what happened. So there you go.
I liked this episode. The premise is interesting. I think it's done well. Like, all the fight scenes look very cool. The sort of post-apocalyptic grunge looks cool enough if that's the aesthetic you're into. But I just had too many questions about everything. And I feel like it wasn't plot holes. It's like the story just deciding, no, we're going to be this simple and this straightforward and this silly, and it's fine. But apparently, like, when you take this impulse energy drink, even though your consciousness is stuck like in slow motion, you apparently appear exactly the same. Like, nobody can tell you're on this. So it's not like she was living 12 years of her life on autopilot. Like, she proposed to her boyfriend in that time. He married her. It was the best day of their lives. She had 3 kids. She was elected sheriff of this town. Like, she seemed like she was fully present, like a real, like, vivid human being during this time. And I was confused about how your consciousness can be so diverted. And then in the end, when she's fighting off the death lizards, like, she shoots a barrel of gasoline that blows up like 3 of them. And I'm like, it seems like every resource is rare here in this post-apocalypse. Why are you shooting a barrel of gasoline to blow up 3 guys? It seems like you're moving fast enough. You could just shoot all 3 of them.
Shoot all 3 guys.
You only wasted 3 bullets.
They put it in there as the, like, this is what you do in video games. You shoot the explosive barrel.
That, but I was like, but the resources, you guys barely have water.
Yeah, right. Gasoline, they're not making it anymore. Like, you need to keep it. Like, all that stuff. That's what I don't get about shows like The Walking Dead or stuff like that. It's like, you guys should have like big bushy beards. The women should have hair on their legs and their armpits, like all of that stuff. Like, that stuff has gone out the window. Like, there was one character in like season 6 or 7 of The Walking Dead that like found Twizzlers and is just like constantly munching on Twizzlers. I'm like, those are like 4 years old. Like, why are you just like, those aren't good anymore. Like, you shouldn't.
They're entirely
be able
solid.
To just like find these and eat them and survive. Like,
yeah, like, it's no longer a gummy snack. It's like, yes, this is building material because it's completely rigid.
Yeah, right. Or is now
gonna
like
build me a
liquid
Twizzler house
somehow. Yeah. It's just like, I don't understand this stuff. There's some of this stuff that just doesn't make sense, and they just don't talk about it. And same thing with this show. Like, how is Kojima still like doing his thing there? Like, I don't get it. What is he doing? I don't know, but he's there.
Eating his can.
Weird stuff indeed. There you go. Melissa, it is time to check in with our bingo.
Right. It's bingo time. See what we got out of this show. I really wish I would have put the voice of Mark Hamill on my list, but I was foolish and did not.
Come on, bingo card, open up. What are you doing here?
Yeah. So if this is your first episode or you haven't listened to us recently, we made bingo cards that we're going to be filling out for the rest of the year, where we wrote down a bunch of like plot tropes and like the pop culture cliches and things like that. And at the end of every episode, we see if we can cross anything off.
Yeah. So to recap, I need one space to get a bingo. The sound of cicadas is what I need.
Ah, beans.
And then
I don't know
have
if
one
I
that
can cross anything off this
spots. Robots weren't blamed for murder. There wasn't an ancient evil or a magic book. There was no actor that appeared as themselves. But the one that I do have is the voice of Mark Hamill.
Oh, man. The closest I could get is Secret Royalty, which kind of applies to episode 3, where she finds out she's the inventor of time travel. But it's not. That's not the context in which I was thinking of it, so I'm not going to let myself cross it off.
Death by electrocution. Yeah. So my card is a little bit different from Melissa's, since we had a big pool of things to pick from and fill out our cards with. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I think I will say this. I think once we get the first bingo, whoever gets it, I think next time we should make our cards bigger. We should put more of them on. I think we did a 5x5 thing. I think we should do maybe even like a 10x10 if we can do something that, or like a 9x9. Something with that. Just have it be huge, because that way it'll last us like a whole year.
That's true.
Instead of like we're gonna get like 4 or 5 bingos in a year. It's like here's something we've been doing the entire year. I mean, all right, maybe we don't need 9x9, maybe like 7x7 or something.
That sounds like a good way to step it up, because we'll do, because we have to do an odd number. So like we'll start with 5. We'll do 7, 9, 11
we'll
go.
See how 7 does next time.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Voice of Mark Hamill. That's what I got.
If only we had a spaceship AI or a one-shot sequence.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay, let me close that because I don't need that anymore. There you go. That's bingo for this week. Voice of Mark Hamill. Melissa.
Thank you, Mark.
Do you have recommendations? If people liked this, what else might they want to check out?
I've got 2 podcasts. So some of the creators of this show, Will Campos, Matt Arnold, and Freddie Wong, who was an executive producer and did some directing, they have a podcast called Story Break. Story Break is a weekly podcast from Rocket Jump, where we sit down in the writer's room and attempt to break a story for a ridiculous concept, property, or idea that we in no way have any rights to. Join us every week as we attempt to tackle everything from beloved video games to billion-dollar franchises. I've listened to a couple episodes of the show. It's fun. They just come up with a preposterous, like, thing for a story to be about, like a very simple, like, a person or character, and they're like, what do we make out of this? Like, can we make Aunt Beru a Star Wars story? Can we make the Count Chocula movie? I listened to an episode this week.
The Emoji Movie was born.
Right, it's stuff like that. Like, what is the most simplistic thing that we can spin out into being this entire narrative? And like, they spend an hour talking about
the movie.
Yeah, like they spend an hour breaking down the story of it. Like, they go really deep into like what the plot and the characters would be. At the end, they do like a little
that's cool, a
little trailer. This week I listened to one where they try and design Face Off 2, Face is Wild. And there's a really fun episode where they try and make a movie out of the lyrics to The Boys Are Back in Town. You know, guess who just got back today? Well, those wild-eyed boys who have been away. It's them. But it's also a Christmas movie, so it's like Santa stole all of these boys to be in an army, and now all the boys have come back, and like the one boy who was left in town, he's got a son, and like now Santa's gonna try and steal his son. And it's like they keep singing everything to the tune of the song, like the boys will take your son, the boys will take your son. It's really entertaining. Also, there's a joke they say at the beginning where like the song "The Boys Are Back in Town" is like from the perspective of somebody just watching and telling you about the boys. They're not one of the boys. They're just like, you better watch out because the boys are back. And they compare the voice of the song to the Herald of Galactus.
Yeah, he is the Silver Surfer.
About all week. Right. I recommend this podcast. I also recommend an audio drama that I think I've pitched like 3 times and we haven't done it yet. It's called Uncanny County. It is an anthology series about there's some sci-fi in there, there's some fantasy, there's some spooky stuff. It's sort of general eerie weirdness, and it's like you're driving down an unlit desert road in the dead of night with only the full moon. Sure you don't take a wrong turn or you could end up in Uncanny County. I think they've done maybe 2 seasons. The episodes are fun. They are like a little bit lighter, but also the characters are pretty richly illustrated for how little time we get to spend with them. There's a big variety of stories. It's like this show in that it's not they're not all like these judgmental cautionary tales, be careful or this could happen to you sort of tone. They're just sort of odd little stories. I like it a lot. There's an episode where it's Orson Welles trying to do another broadcast after the War of the Worlds where like everybody's suspicious of him and like this is his one chance to like get back on his feet. Like, sure, you better not pull any more funny stuff on us, Orson, or you're never going to work in this town
funny
again.
Business.
And then like there actually are aliens infiltrating the show because they know nobody will believe him if he tries to tell the world about it.
So
he's trying to tell everyone they're aliens. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's an episode about a fire watch tower in a public park, in like a state park that's wonderful. This is the reason why I keep pitching this podcast. I want to talk about the fire watch episode. There's really neat stuff in Uncanny County, and they're like half an hour long or so, like great voice acting, great sound design. I recommend it. Throw it on for a night drive sometime.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think they at least used to. They might still. I think they follow us on Twitter. So, there you go.
Thank you, Uncanny County.
Yeah.
One of my faves.
Indeed. Cool. I want to recommend something we've covered here on the show. Hadron Gospel Hour, Season 1.
Yeah.
It is
another audio drama.
Yeah, it is a podcast that you can go listen to wherever you get your podcasts and all that stuff. It's not an anthology, but it is a sci-fi show in the style of those like old radio plays and stuff like that. It's fun, it's campy, it's funny. There's some good, interesting sci-fi in that. It's a good time.
Yeah, and it's about these guys who get lost in these dimensional rifts, and they're always like they peer into other dimensions as like their entertainment. Yes. Like instead of watching TV, they're like, let's just tune into dimension 3B and see what they're up to. And that's when you get these sort of fun, speculative like sketches. So it's almost like an anthology show embedded around this larger narrative.
Indeed, yeah. That's one to absolutely check out. And that was number... I don't know what number this was. Let's see here. Hadron Gospel Hour. Where is it?
When did we do that one?
It was number 65, way back in July of 2019.
Oh my God, almost 100 episodes ago.
Yeah, almost. I recommend that one. I had a blast with that one. So go check that out. I also want to recommend. My mind just blanked on the name. There's a comic book called Black Science. that I would recommend. It is a little bit more hard sci-fi, a little bit more pulpy. If you like have seen the covers to like John Carter of Mars and stuff like that, those old like pulp novels, it's kind of like that. But the premise of the book revolves around the scientist that has figured out how to tap into other dimensions and travel to them. And his idea is he is going to go to the dimensions that they have solved cancer and they've gotten rid of this disease, or they have this technology that will help out humanity. And he's going to take them, of just be like, hey, you guys have figured out how to do this thing, we have not yet, let's take let's bring that back to our dimension. And so it is this dimension hopping adventure, because they hop into a dimension and shit goes wrong and they can't make it back, and his whole family is there and they get separated. And it is this thing of like, do I go meet myself in this dimension and help myself figure out how to fix this thing, or what do I do here? And it's a really, really good story about this family trying to get back and all of the secrets that they've been keeping and stuff like that. So I would recommend going to check that out if you like sci-fi but want something maybe a little bit more serious. And the art in that book, holy moly, the art in that book is gorgeous. I bought the book initially for the art itself and was just like, this art is mind-blowing. So yeah, I would say go check that stuff out. The last thing I want to recommend is something that's that most people probably aren't going to get or find, but I want to put this out there anyways. I bought a book years ago. Actually, I have it on my shelf here. Pulling it out. This is a book that I found in a bookstore for real cheap. And it is called The Joiners in 3D. It is a comic by R.J. Ryan and David Marquez, and it is this sci-fi tale. It's all in what seems to be black and white, but it's actually phase shifted, and the book was supposed to come with 3D glasses. I am recommending this for the 3D. So yes, it is a 3D comic that you can read. And it is this, like sci-fi tale of robots and corporate espionage. It kind of reminded me of iRobot and the Jetsons and all sorts of stuff. But it is this like dark tale of murder and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun.
Man, dark Jetsons espionage. That's my new aesthetic.
Right? And we covered this a long time ago on the Whatnauts podcast. So if you guys want to do some digging, that's on our website. You can go listen to myself and our co-creator here at the Whatnauts, Paul, who is no longer here at the Whatnauts. We talk about this book because we had the opportunity. He was in town, and I was like, we need to read this book because there's going to be no other opportunity for us to check this out. And like, how often do you get 3D comics? So
yeah,
there you go. I had
inventive.
To recommend that one. Yeah. The Joiners in 3D. I to be honest, I think there's a non-3D version out there, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't remember. Anyways, go check that out, thewhatnauts.com. But Melissa, it is my turn to do the pitches for this week.
So
I wanted to dive into some Marvel comics that we haven't read yet.
Nice.
Wanted to do some comics because I felt like it's been a while. So I have a good grab bag of comics here.
Thank you for supplying comics. I was thinking
Yeah.
last week, it has been a little while since we've done a comic, but I don't know enough about comics to go find any myself, so you have to bring them.
Indeed. So the first one that I want to do is a 10-issue series called Doctor Doom. So all 10 issues are on Comixology Unlimited. However, they have volume 1 available on Comixology Unlimited, and then issues 6 through 10 you have to read single issues. But yeah, this follows Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom is at a crossroads, wrestling with visions of an entirely different life, a better future. The Lord of Latveria offers mankind a stark warning about the folly of a $1 trillion global effort to create the first artificial black hole. But when a catastrophic act of terrorism kills thousands, the prime suspect is Doom. Alyssa, this is written by Christopher Cantwell of Halt and Catch Fire. This is why I wanted to pitch this book. We recently watched all of Halt and Catch Fire here on the review show in 4 parts, one for each season. It was a phenomenal show. I knew that
Love it.
Chris had written some comics, so here you go. Dr. Doom is one of the things that he has written. That's pitch number 1. Pitch number 2, let me open this up here. Series details, also available in Comixology Unlimited. I wanted to read the first 2 volumes of Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja. This book is maybe almost 10 years old. I don't know exactly when this came out. It was instantly a classic. This was like a character-defining series from this creative team. And it says, the breakout star of the summer's blockbuster Avengers film, Clint Barton, a.k.a. the self-made hero Hawkeye, fights for justice. With ex-young Avenger Kate Bishop by his side, he's out to prove himself as one of Earth's mightiest heroes. S.H.I.E.L.D. recruits Clint to intercept a packet of incriminating I cannot speak this word. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. It is damn it. I was hoping I could surprise myself and say it really fast. Sometimes that works. Oh well. You guys know what I was about to say.
Yes.
Before he becomes the most wanted man in the world. So yeah, this is not the entire series, but I wanted to read the first 2 volumes of this book because I've heard nothing but great things, and I still haven't read this book.
Oh wow!
So there you go. It would be a new one for me. First 2 volumes are on Comixology Unlimited. It collects. It would be issues 1 through 11.
Okay.
For those of you interested there. That's pitch number 2. And then pitch number 3 is actually a book I have never heard of before, but it is all entirely on Comixology Unlimited. It's only 6 issues, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it is called 1985 or Marvel 1985. And let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think that. What if I go into issue 1? Does that tell a better? Yeah, here we go. So volume 1, which is the entire thing, is about young Toby Goodman, Toby lives an ordinary life, filling his days with Marvel comics as an escape from his dysfunctional family. Then one day, Toby stumbles across an old house inhabited by the villains that terrorize the Marvel Universe. At first, no one believes what he claims to have seen, but that was before the bodies started turning up.
Ooh.
So this is written by Mark Millar, who wrote the Civil War comic. He also wrote Kick-Ass, if you guys are familiar with that, and a bunch of the Netflix show Jupiter's Circle. He wrote that book. Also Kingsman, Secret Service, that's based on his comics and stuff like that. But yeah, I never heard of this book. It seems like it is this story about a kid in real life who likes Marvel comics, but then discovers that they're real. Or something. A lot of Marvel and DC comics, they have, multiple universes and stuff like that. And every once in a while, you'll get this thing where, like, the Fantastic Four has comics being made about them, and they are made by the people that make the book, so they can go to the studio where they're making the book and meet the creators of the book and be like, hey, that one issue was really bad. Dr. Doom beat us? No, that wouldn't happen, right? And yeah, I think this is kind of one of those stories of like, hey, what if this is a story about a kid who just reads those comics and like isn't. And yeah, so I've never heard of this book. I don't know if it's bad or good or what. So there you go. That's pitch number 3, 1985. Marvel, 1985.
Interesting.
So pitch number 1, to recap, was Dr. Doom, written by Christopher Cantwell. Pitch number 2, Hawkeye, by Matt Fraction and David Aja. And pitch number 3, Marvel 1985 by Mark Millar.
Kyle, you know the answer. Search your heart. You know it to be true. It's got to be Dr. Doom. Even Christopher Cantwell aside, I would love to read about Dr. Doom. We had a lot of fun last year reading some original Fantastic Four comics. I love villain-based properties. Let's go spend some time in Latveria.
Let's do it. Let's read some Dr. Doom stuff. I've heard great things about this series, but I really have no idea what it's about. So this is going to be interesting to see. So Dr. Doom by Chris Cantwell. I believe it's only 10 issues. And like I said, they're all on Comixology Unlimited. So go check it out. Go read it. And we'll be back with that this next week. Here you go. That's what we will do this next week then. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. Our latest episode should be on the anime Fighting Foodons. About a world where you can bring food, you cook food, and you bring the food to life, and the food forms like a little guy, and the guys fight.
Interesting. I have one thing I'll say after I do my social media stuff. If you guys want to stay up to date with me, I'm at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. If you guys want to stay up to date with all the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So go like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Melissa, I got reminded of a show that I completely forgot about. This is one I think you guys need to talk about on your podcast. I don't remember the name of it, so I was gonna look it up right now. Do you remember the show about the airplanes that had faces on them?
Oh, yeah. JJ the Jet Plane?
Yes! That show is terrifying. That's like, go look at pictures of what that show was. It's like early 3D stuff. The faces are really stiff, but they're like put on the front of airplanes where the propellers would be. I think sometimes they have propellers on their noses and stuff, but God, it just looks like their faces were stretched on top of this plane, and it's horrifying. I got reminded of that show. Yeah, right. That's what it seems like. So we will end the podcast with that. You're welcome for that spooky, scary show. JJ the Jet Plane. Oh my God. Yeah. With that, we will see you all next week. This has been the Whatnauts review show number 161. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.